can vote today. Those days that he talked about when black folks were swinging from trees. Guess who it was out there fighting to bring that to an end, to bring Jim Crow to an end? It was Republicans. So that's the America we want to bring back.
That's the context. And man, someday when he learns about realignment and how the party labels Republican and Democrat don't necessarily mean that those people were conservative like they are now, that's gonna blow his mind. But that's the context. And you might think, okay, he was trying to make a rhetorical point. It's a stupid ahistoric rhetorical point, and I don't know why you would make it in that particular way. But sure, that's context. And before we discuss, to be fair, the claim is being made that he said that in the shortened version because he hates women. But in the long version, it doesn't prove that. Well, they really like context, so I'd like to add a little bit more context. He has claimed that feminism was created by Satan. He said that men who identify as feminists are about as manly as a pair of lace panties and are weak-minded, jelly-backed men. He refers to feminists as feminazis, and in one particularly colorful post, described those who support equal rights for women as sexist, hairy armpit-having, poo-poo hat-wearing pinkos. He said on Facebook in December 2017, the only thing worse than a woman who doesn't know her place is a man who doesn't know his. He claimed that Satan himself is using lesbianism and feminism to destroy traditional families. He said if blacks should stand up against racism and women should stand up against sexism, shouldn't men stand up against feminism? Because that makes sense, it's all the same. He said, I am really sick of feminism and feminists. They are just as bad, if not worse, than racist. Along the way, he's referred to women as whores, witches, and rejected drag queens. And like Donald Trump once did, he has a special vitriol for women who breastfeed in public, saying that they are shameless attention hogs. So maybe the context of the video did need to be dove into a little bit more. But when you really zoom out, he's a guy that maybe has a couple of issues with women. Farron, what do you think?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Maybe there's something about women that just doesn't quite sit right with him. I don't know. I don't want to diagnose anybody because I'm not a professional. But I mean, if I were a professional, I would say, yeah, he's wacko. That would be my professional opinion. But I mean, women who breastfeed in public are attention hogs. Like, I'm sorry that my infant is hungry and this is how I feel. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But it's like you pointed out, what these folks say doesn't have to make sense because it makes sense to them. And they use it to deal with a world that terrifies and confuses them.
Yes.
Like you pointed out with the whole, like, it's not intelligent. And you're right, because they create these conspiracy theories. They create these enemies in their mind saying, oh, here's a situation I don't like, but I don't understand it. So why is it happening? Oh, don't worry why it's happening. It's happening because Satan did it. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's easy. Oh yeah, it's just Satan. I can now cope with this because I don't have to think about it. I don't have to dig into it. I don't have to understand it. I can write it off as, yep, Satan did it. Ha, I'm good to go. And that's how they do it. It's not just him, like you said, it's all these people on the right. This is their coping mechanism so that they don't have to think.
Yeah, they're very, very scared. It's dark and full of terrors in the night, and I want an incredibly simple explanation as to why I'm gonna be okay. I don't find reality to be terrifying. I think it's worthy of analysis. I think that we should be attached to reality, but that is unfortunately not a universal human characteristic. And that is unfortunately all the time we have for the show today. Farron, it is always a pleasure to have you on. Where can people watch more of your work?
On YouTube, both at Ring of Fire and actually, it's at The Ring of Fire. Sorry, I don't want to mess that up. And at Fair and Balanced. Those are both my YouTube channels. Ring of Fire has now surpassed 1 million subscribers, so we are super excited about that. Yep, so that's a huge milestone. We're just waiting for that big gold plaque to come in.
I don't know if they still do that.
Oh, they better.
You deserve it. You know,
otherwise
if they
I'm gonna have to have my mom make one.
We should crowdsource. But congratulations, that's an awesome achievement. And well-deserved, so congrats.
Thank you very much.
For everyone out there, thank you for watching. Coming up tomorrow, we will be doing our Garbage People of the Week. Brett is still out in Japan doing his culinary tour of that country. Wozni Lambre is gonna be on the show, so you know we're gonna have a lot of fun. We unfortunately didn't get to our Don Jr. story, But we're gonna do it tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll lead the show off by talking a little bit about old Don Jr. So I hope to see you there. For now, though, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. See you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, none other than Francesca, TYT contributor, all-star, and comedian, host, the Habituation Room podcast, and host of News Broke. Always fascinating to have her analysis. Top story of the day. This is a story that we first brought you here on Indisputable. A 70-plus-year-old elderly woman gets, raided by SWAT, okay? It was horrific how they treated her. They now have to pay her damn near $4 million for their insanity. I want to take you back to the original story and give you the update. Here it is.
Denver Police Department with a search warrant. You come to the door with your hands up.
Do you have anything on you you're not supposed to? Do you have any guns or knives? No.
Oh, no. I don't have
Come sit back here. We're going to tell you what's up. So nobody else is in the house, man?
No, nobody else is in the house.
Okay, so they got a search warrant for your house, okay? There was some evidence that they believe is in the house. So I'm going to walk you over there and we're going to talk to some detectives, okay? Once we can make some more announcements, just give me a minute and double check that nobody else snuck in the house on you, okay?
Okay.
Snowblower.
Yep, put up the picture full mass. I will explain to you what happened and give you the update. Ruby Johnson, 78 years of age. She's a grandmother. She has now been awarded $3.76 million in a judgment after her Colorado home was raided and wrongly searched 2 years ago by a SWAT team in a sting gone wrong. The American Civil Liberties Union of Colorado filed a lawsuit on behalf of Ruby Johnson, a retired U.S. Postal Service worker whose home was the target of a botched raid January 4th, 2022. According to the complaint against two officers, Denver police obtained a search warrant for a home in their efforts to locate a stolen truck filled with 4 semi-automatic handguns, a rifle, a revolver, 2 drones, $4,000 in cash, an Apple iPhone 11. Now, investigators used Apple's Find My Phone app to pinpoint the location so they could find the truck. You see, if they would have simply Googled an explanation of the app and read it, it's probably 3 lines. But it says very clearly, hey, we may be off. We may not be accurate in the location, but we're going to be roundabout, close. But you see, you're not supposed to get a warrant based on close. So not only was this a failure of the SWAT team and the investigators involved, but whatever judge decided to sign the damn search warrant based on an app. There's more. The problem was the app does not track the phone's exact location, only its general vicinity as outlined in the guide for the app itself. So the truck could have been parked at any of the other neighboring homes around Johnson's. Yet authorities raided Johnson's home anyway. The complaint notes that Johnson had just gotten out of the shower, was watching television, when she heard someone outside of her house yelling through a megaphone for everyone inside to exit with their hands up, wearing only a bathrobe. Mrs. Johnson opened her door to find several police vehicles, armed men in full military-style gear, and a police dog. She was home alone at the time. The truck and its contents were not found at her home. Police used a battering ram to get into her garage, even after she explained how to open the garage door, and broke ceiling tiles to search her attic. Now, for those of you who said initially, well, the police just made a simple mistake here. No, they lacked investigative prowess. They lacked a systemic approach to something this serious. And then when they realized, okay, this is a woman that's damn near 80, they still decided to break her garage door and break her ceiling tiles. Do you think the truck is parked in the ceiling? Do you think the truck is parked in her roof? What the hell are you all doing? There's more. The vehicle police were looking for belonged to Jeremy McDaniel. It was stolen from the Denver Hyatt the day before the raid. 2 days after they searched Johnson's home, authorities found it 6 miles away in Aurora. Johnson was so traumatized by the incident that she could not return to her home because of the memories. She stayed with her son in Texas for 3 months. She was traumatized. The ACLU filed a suit December 2022, accusing Denver police detective Gary Stabb of drafting a hastily prepared, bare bones, materially misleading affidavit. There you go. That's the part that the judge signed. To secure the search warrant, the complaint stated police executed an unreasonable search and seizure that violated Johnson's constitutional rights and caused her severe physical and emotional distress. You don't say. The jury award was announced on Monday, March 4th. Her lawsuit was filed under a new state bill passed in 2020 that allowed Colorado citizens to finally sue police over constitutional rights violations. Before that law was enacted, people with complaints similar to Johnson's had to turn to the federal courts, where their cases were more difficult to resolve due to the element of qualified immunity, police protections. That's according to the AP. The ACLU said Johnson's suit was the first significant case to go to trial after the bill was passed. Now, here's the thing. This is good policy. Bad thing that happened to Ms. Johnson. We are glad that there's a semblance of justice here and she's okay today. But this helps clean up the madness of police overreach, as well as negligent investigations, because these detectives, the officers, the judge, everybody involved in harming Miss Johnson, they are now on notice, and those who are outside of the scope of that local vicinity. But this did not happen without the policy changing. This is why people are empowered to transform their political reality by transferring their political leaders. Francesca, hell of a thing. It goes back to policy. The right policy is in place. The ACLU was able to get justice for Ms. Johnson.
I know, and 2 years in, right? Like it took a while to get this, but I'm glad they saw it through, and took months to actually begin to file this lawsuit, but they did. Here's my thing about all this. Number one, SWAT teams are far overused in this country. We know that, how they've increased in tiny towns that don't warrant this kind of response, right? You're sending in this massive SWAT teams, dogs, all this kind of weaponry for someone who, again, like if it's a robbery, right? Also, like, who's running around with that kind of machinery and weaponry in their own truck? Like, what about the guy whose truck this is? Let's leave that aside. My thing is, beyond the SWAT team, beyond this truck, $3.76 million, who's paying that money? It's the people of Colorado. It's the people of this city, of this town. This is taxpayer money. So it's not coming down on the police. They don't have to raise funds for their own mistakes, right? They're not doing bake sales for anything, not doing it for the amount of weaponry we give them. But also when they mess up and they have to have these payouts for civilians who have their constitutional rights violated, it's us, it's the taxpayers, time and time and time again. So it's a step in the right direction. But the real thing is like, will there be consequences for the police involved? And then will they have to be the ones to shell out the money?
That's right. So hell to the no. They will not shell out the money. And this is why I advocate for police officers to have basically malpractice insurance, like a medical doctor or psychologist. Right. This is getting to be insane for taxpayers to always foot the bill. And remember, this is another way to defund the police, but when police defund the police, there's no issue. Individuals in this community will be the ones that suffer. Okay, well, there's a teacher, white teacher, under investigation for using allegedly a racial slur. Here it is.
We're interracial best friends. When the cops show up, I feel safe with him.
We're interracial best friends. When he calls me his nick, I feel so alive.
We're interracial best friends. Of course I taught him how to season chicken.
We're interracial best friends. Of course I taught him how to balance his checkbook.
We're interracial best friends. Whenever we perform Paris at karaoke, he always does the nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative part.
We're interracial best friends. Of course my family owned his family.
We're interracial best friends. Raindrop. Where? What? Dude, it's drop top, bad and bougie.
We're interracial best friends. Whenever we go shopping, I know they're not looking at me.
We're interracial best friends. Of course we get into the shrimping business.
We're interracial best friends. Maybe one day we'll all wear the number 42.
Put up the picture for a mask. Yeah, interesting story here. Georgia. A Georgia school teacher thought this was a great idea. Now is at the center of an investigation due to saying the N-word on a TikTok video, as you just saw. WSB-TV reported that the unnamed Indian Creek Elementary School second grade educator participated in this viral, of course, video. It is trending. It is meant to mock. Now, I want you to understand the attempted lesson. It is meant to mock stereotypes, okay? That's what it is trying to do. The video skit was part of TikToker's Derek DiCaprio page. He does a series like this. It's a skit series on the subject of race, all right? Including this one.
We're black guys who date white girls. Of course her father calls me boy.
We're black guys that date white girls. Of course I lost everything in the divorce.
We're black guys who date white girls. Of course I'm a D1 athlete.
We're black guys that date white girls. Of course I let her say the N-word when we're at home.
We're black guys who date white girls. Of course I refer to it as the N-word.
We're black guys that date white girls. Of course I need someone to obey me.
We're black guys who date white girls. I've been to Bonnaroo at least a dozen times.
We're black guys who date white girls. My breath, no matter what, stinks.
We're black guys who date white girls. Of course I got fired as Kang the Conqueror in the MCU.
We're black guys who date white girls. Of course she tells her friends it's big.
We're black guys who date white girls. I've been called everything from sellout to Uncle Ruckus to coon. But what I've never been called is attractive.
Put it up full mass. All right, so here's the thing, y'all. All right, let's put the teacher back up, okay? To the school teacher. Let's put the school teacher up. To the school teacher, sir, you know good and damn well that government check comes with responsibilities. Okay, you're a school teacher. And you are a school teacher of children, like second grade. Saying the N-word on video, sir, was not a wise idea. So now what has happened? Reaction? Parents were not too fond of the video. The Georgia NAACP president, a dear friend of mine, attorney Gerald Griggs, told the local news station that it was offensive and condemned the use of the racial slur, unprofessional, unbecoming of a teacher. Quote, at no point should the N-word be used in any form or fashion by anyone, let alone a teacher in any capacity. It's not a word that should be used, period. It's a word that brings up so many emotions, so many negative connotations, Attorney Griggs said. It's concerning that in the climate that we're in right now, people feel comfortable using that type of language. There's no excuse for it. Atlanta Black Star reached out to the DeKalb County School District for comment, but in a statement to WSB-TV, officials said an investigation is ongoing. Quote, the school administration and district are investigating a social media posting made by an employee of Indian Creek Elementary School that includes offensive statements made by the employee, the district said. The district and Indian Creek Elementary School expect all employees to be positive role models for our children and will respond appropriately whenever that expectation is not met. And generally, they will not give you any update as to what will happen as far as discipline. But this is not one of those, let's celebrate the school teacher moment. It was a lesson that was landed improperly, in my opinion. Francesca, thoughts?
I mean, they are attempting comedy. So I just want to put that out. And I also want to clarify, I don't get it. And I'm a stand-up. Like, I think some of the lines are funny. I think others of them are absolutely not funny. I don't know if they're poking fun at stereotypes or playing into them. It sort of rides the line. And obviously I think a lot of it's not my place to really, sort of weigh in on. But look, if or whether or not it's comedy, don't say the N-word. Just don't do it. You're a teacher. Yeah. Don't say it. You can if you're not, I guess, and you're trying to make a point, a joke, I guess. But even then, like, just don't. And not on TikTok, not on social media. Don't get roped into someone else's sketch who's got a lot of followers. Let this be a lesson to everyone, not just teachers.
There you go. All right. Well said. Okay. Black conservative GOP nominee for governor, lieutenant governor currently. Well, he says women should not have the right to vote. We need to go back to that, according to him. Here it is.
Republicans are the party of freedom and equality.
Yes.
This narrative about Republicans being racist and cannot stand Mexican people and black people and women is ridiculous. This idiotic guy was on stage with Candace Owens a few days ago and asked her, what America are we going back to make America great again? The one where women couldn't vote or black people were swinging from trees? I would say to him, if I was standing in front of him, I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote. Do you know why? Because in those days, we had people who fought for real social change, and they were called Republicans. And they are the reason why women can vote today. Those days that he talked about when black folks were swinging from trees, guess who it was out there fighting to bring that to an end, to bring Jim Crow to an end? It was Republicans. Right. So that's the America we want to bring back. We want to bring back the America where Republicans and principles and true ideas of freedom rule.
Put him up full mass. This is the miseducation of one dumb Negro. So let me explain the fallacy in his own proclamation. The Republican Party has had many, many transformations. The Republican Party that he's referring to was more progressive than, let's say, well, people that wanted to keep racism alive. You had the Confederates and others. But all of them were ran by very rich and old white men, kind of like today. And they had their particular racist, biased positions that they agreed on across party lines. Black people not voting was one of them. Women not voting, another one. Super Tuesday, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, who won the GOP primary to become the party's nominee for governor of North Carolina, with the help, by the way, of female voters. Well, in 2020, at an event hosted by the Republican women, understand where he's at now.
Oh my God.
The Republican women of Pitt County. That's where he's at. Robinson said he'd, quote, absolutely like to return to the days when the 19th Amendment did not exist, when women did not have the right to vote. Per the HuffPost, this room full of women, as you saw, they got quiet, all right? So they applauded him initially, then they were like, bruh, you just lost every white woman in this building, all right? So he's in a room full of women. It goes quiet as he spoke, according to the HuffPost. There was a faint in the background. Somebody said, that's right. Could be heard.
The one person like, oh, I thought we were all clapping.
Right, exactly.
Oh, my bad.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they could be heard when Robinson later said Republicans ended Jim Crow laws. In fact, lawmakers of both parties in Congress, as I said, and President Lyndon Johnson ended Jim Crow laws by passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They were all countervened collectively together to change their mind together. The North Carolina Republicans, longing for the days when women couldn't vote, ties into his history of demeaning women and mocking feminism, especially on social media. He's claimed that feminism was created by Satan. I did not know he met Satan before. Obviously, he knows him. He said that men who identify as feminists are about as manly as a pair of lace panties and are weak-minded, jelly-backed men. He's routinely referred to feminists as femme Nazis. And in one particular colorful post, described those who support equal rights for women as sexist, hairy, armpit-having, poo-poo hat-wearing pinkos, end quote. He is the GOP nominee for governor of North Carolina, currently the lieutenant governor of the state. There's more. The only thing worse than a woman who doesn't know her place, this is his quote, is a man who doesn't know his. He wrote this on Facebook, December 2017. Channeling the late televangelist Pat Robertson, he has claimed that Satan himself is using lesbianism and feminism to destroy traditional families. And still more Facebook posts, the GOP gubernatorial nominee strangely equated feminism with sexism and racism. Quote, if blacks should stand up against racism and women should stand up against sexism, shouldn't men stand up against feminism? I'm sorry. I was trying not to laugh at the end of that. He posted this September 20th, 2016, all right? That same day, he also wrote, quote, I am really sick of feminism and feminists. They are just as bad, if not worse, than racist. But sir, I must say this, sir, at least you have admitted that racist people exist. You got to look at the glass half full with this guy.
Sure.
All right.
Also, does he know black women exist? I don't
think he likes black women.
Clearly. A quick follow-up on that. The feminist leaders in this country have been black women and continue to be black women. But yeah, the fact that Mark Robinson has been flying under the radar this whole time, Doc, and we like just haven't been talking about him is just, well, it's a testament to how many other ghouls there are out there. But now we got this ghoul and his time is coming up. And I'm very curious how it's gonna go in November because he has this self-assuredness that Trump has, right? But again, here you have a person of color trying on the Trump hat. Here you have a person who's not famous, not a celebrity, not rich, trying on the Trump hat. Let's see how it fits. Let's see if it works for him. But again, he says something and then tries to like reverse engineer why it makes sense. It doesn't make any sense. You're saying we should go back to the time when women couldn't vote and black Americans were lynched because then we fought for stuff. What? You fought to get rid of those things. Isn't that like, what are you talking? So you want to go back and redo like the Civil War? You want to redo women's, like, I'm not really sure what he's saying here. And I don't think he knows either. Correct. He's just saying it to grab the headlines. So we'll talk about him and, gas him and stuff.
Yeah, well, he said some more stuff and I think it's important. So he criticized women who breastfeed, okay?
Oh
so
boy.
Breastfeeding in public, he said, quote, they are shameless attention hogs.
Oh, that's true. I mean, as someone who breastfed, I'm like, when I breastfeed, I'm like, look, I'm raising the next generation. Give me an effing tax break. No, yeah. I was like, it's hard work. It hurts. What?
All right, the guy he's running against, I know he has to be like, I can't believe this. So this guy's name is this guy's name is Josh Stein, excuse me. He's he's going up against Robinson. And Robinson, and we'll keep his picture up for a minute. Robinson's attacks include calling women whores, witches, rejected drag queens. There's also a record, there's a recording actually of him quoting Adolf Hitler, fanning Islamophobia, saying trans people should be arrested for using bathrooms, casting doubts on if the Holocaust even happened, and spreading very dangerous conspiracy theories. But he's a winner. And the guy won the GOP primary for governor. And hell, he's going to mount a real challenge. He may become governor of an entire state with the ideology you have just heard spewed from here. We'll bring you updates as they come. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience and yes, have fun doing it.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these comments. I think this is Luck Winterwolf. I'm asking for prayers, positive thoughts, hearts, cross fingers, etc. On my 4 days of doubled up radiation treatments left for larynx cancer, stage 3 at 50% size tumor still. I pray that you are healed. And I want you to just say this to yourself. I want you to just continue to say, I am healed. I am healed. I am is a state of being. It is a state of being. When we say, I am weak, we are. When we say, I am depressed, we are. When we say, I am strong, we are. So I want you to continue to heal, all right? And our prayers are with you. Positive vibes are with you. We got, it's a lot here. So Lady FT, thank you for that. Hey, Doc, my biological mother died on Monday. I'm sad that a person I knew was gone, but I'm not grieving because she was never my mom. I grieved for my mom 37 years ago and gave my daughter her name. I'm not cold, but it is what it is. You know, I got to say, I can understand where you're coming from. I was a foster child, and when my biological mother passed away, there were a lot of feelings of, I should have done more to try and rekindle some level of relationship, or I could have been a more dutiful child and not been so rambunctious in my expressions. But at the end of the day, no matter what, it is the individual who gave you something that nobody else could, and that was the birth into this world. And that is a gift that you carry with you every day, and it's a gift I carry with me every day. So that part never is taken away, no matter what. All right. So I understand. And my condolences. Shiva Mehadav, member for 7 months. Thank you so much. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime unless you have qualified immunity. That's right. Exactly. Tommy Biscuits, thank you for this. Doctor, that's a great idea. Gonna have to upgrade to that attic parking. Why would they in the woman's ceilings? All right, $2 too. Thank you for that. Sad day when people have to use racist language just for attention and clout. Terrible idea. Colin Hutton, thank you, Colin. Doc, you got to create a new indisputable segment called I Wish and Uncle Tom Would with Mark Robinson as the inspiration. This dude makes my blood boil. He makes my blood boil too. I could not stay in a room with him for long. We probably would engage in mutual combat. He's that kind of energy, all right? Okay, that's something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Then you're so inclusive of attack or a woman or a girl. I want to remember that you voted for this. I want you to not wake up in the middle of the night and remember that you made that act of male sexual violence in a sacred women's space possible. Until then, enjoy maintaining your fantasy concept that you created for these productive men and enjoy maintaining their erections. And you'll be glad to hear that you won't be seeing me again.
Whoa, she said, you won't be seeing me again. Put her full mask. Don't threaten everybody with a good time, Karen. So here's the thing. She's very upset in England because the group has voted to continue permitting individuals who identify as trans women to swim in a public pond.
God.
The idea of a public pond is that it is available to the public. And last time I checked, even in England, a human being in the public qualifies. So she's highly upset. Francesca, I was waiting on someone from the committee to say, and I make a motion to ban Karen from the pond. That would have been awesome. All right, thoughts here.
I mean, bye. Like, she's like, I'm never gonna come. You're never gonna see me again. Like,
Right.
go. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, and the meeting's been like, it's over. She's standing up on her. Clearly, they didn't let her speak before. They didn't want to hear her speak. She's standing on her chair. She's reading from her phone. Maybe her friend's filming her, or just someone who's like, this is great. This is gonna go viral. Let's go.
Right.
But like, it's a pond, and this is the level of obsession with trans people and the hatred of LGBTQ plus people that we're now, what do you got to check your genitals at the, with the ducks? They're gonna like, okay, these ducks are gonna enforce it. Like, what are you doing here?
Exactly.
We're outside living your goddamn life. Just live your life. Go swimming in it, calm down. So like, my second thought is, it's kind of great that in England, there's still like clean ponds.
Right, that you can swim in.
Like when's the last time you were like, I'm gonna go swimming in a pond? Like,
Right.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, obviously their ponds are kissed by God because that's not a damn pond in the state of Georgia that I would hop inside of. All right, good luck to the committee in England. Hateful individual, hateful person decides to say that he would like all Palestinians to die. Here it is.
You're not even a legal citizen. Get the out of my country. Get the out of my country. We'll kill them all. We'll kill all the Palestinians. It's done because they're terrorists. Terrorists. You're terrorists. Terrorists. You're terrorists. You're a bunch of terrorists. 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 You're a terrorist.
Put it up for a mass. It's one thing to hold a position, belief, a doctrine, an ideology. It is another thing to say things like, kill them all. Talking about an entire demographic, an entire community of people, of human beings. That includes, obviously, men, women, and children. Per Stop Arab Hate on X, this confrontation occurred in Los Angeles. Per the UN office, I want you to be reminded of this. Per the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, as of day 152 of the Israel-Hamas war, not Palestinian, more than 35,400 civilians have been killed. These are not military members. This number includes 14,622 children, 132 journalists and media workers, at least 364 medical staff, 165 United Nations staff. The number also includes those presumed dead under rubble. More than 73,000 people have been injured. Many of those injuries are critical. At least 20 people, at least 16 of whom have been children, have died because of malnutrition in recent days. The youngest one was 1 day old. This is important to the narrative as well, because those are lives that America, by way of our government, expressly said we don't care about. No humanitarian aid, no ceasefire in order to feed the innocent. So when individuals like this start spewing the hate, the extreme violence, and then the conversation of genocide, kill them all, it lets you know the spirit behind it. So they can consciously measure their words in front of an audience. They can consciously measure their words on social media. But when they are angry, when individuals who hold bigotry in their heart are mad, the truth of their own thinking betrays them. All right, hell of a thing. It needed to be exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say that I think that sadly, this man's incredibly bigoted and terrifying remarks are not a far cry from what the Israeli government also believes and what it is carrying out, and what the United States is co-signing with our weapons that have not slowed down, despite now new calls for a so-called ceasefire, but of course only for 6 weeks, only to save face, only because we're scared of the uncommitted voters. And he begins that with, go back to your country. There are Palestinian, Arabs, Muslims who are born in this country, who are from here, who still have family and relatives in Gaza, in the West Bank, and throughout the Middle East that have been vilified, targeted, and are being currently murdered. Last thing I'll say is this man's wearing a kippah. I guess he presumes that he's a religious man, that he's Jewish. This kind of genocidal rhetoric does not represent all Jews, does not represent them in this country nor around the world. In fact, they've been leading the calls for ceasefire, for peace, and an end to the occupation.
That's right. It doesn't represent a majority of the Jewish community. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable stick and stay.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them. Turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets, where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
How in the world are you going to get the right to vote if you don't already have the right to vote? That's impossible. Reason they tell you things are impossible is because they don't want you to try. It only took 7 years for them to get an amendment to get a right to vote.
Does this result in millions upon millions of Americans losing their coverage? And we've been waiting to find out, and now we know, yes, it will cut millions.
Public education was supposed to be the way to equalize everyone regardless of their socioeconomic status. But if you come from a family that's poor, how are you going to afford grade school for your kids?
This fight is about fairness and morality. It's about the American values.
You think that black people all across the country, in every city, were all lying when they said the police abuse and the police kill us when they should? No, of course they weren't lying. Yes, it does happen. Yes, they do get targeted more.
Why are we going to put immigrants in prison for 5 years, which American taxpayers have to pay for, if we're so concerned with immigrants using up our so-called resources?
We're gonna do both. We're gonna fight Trump and we're gonna fight the establishment. It's not that hard. Yes, you can do both at the same time. Go tell them.
Tell me about the shirt you're wearing.
Pretty much speaks for itself. What's the penalty for treason? Death. Everything was phenomenal under Donald Trump, and now it's Obama calling the shots right now. It ain't Biden.
So it's Obama calling the shots?
I believe so. None of this would be happening if they hadn't stolen the 2020 election from Trump and we the people.
If you could have an option of 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president, what would you choose?
Donald Trump.
All right, welcome back. A lot of comments. Mo Ferry says London Carey threatened us all with a good time. Yeah, and I noticed that too. Librio, she's dressed like a Karen from the late 80s. That would have been a Debbie Downer, sir, in the late 80s. Debbie Downer, all right. Okay, GOP primary. There's a guy running for governor. He's a member of the Klan, all right? It has now been exposed. The GOP is saying, whoa, wait a minute, we didn't know all of that. But there's another side to the story. Put it up, full mass. Yeah. Per the AP, the Missouri Republican Party, they have denounced gubernatorial candidate Daryl Leon McClanahan. I'm not making that last name up. I am not making this up. The man's name is McClanahan.
I can't.
So they... just give me a second. The man's name is literally Klan. All right.
It had to go this way for him.
It had to. So on Thursday, they did this over his ties to the KKK, the Ku Klux Klans. Party officials saying they will go to court if necessary to remove him from the ticket. Now, McClanahan wrote that he's not a member of the KKK, but he did receive an honorary membership 1 year. And he said he did attend a, quote, private religious Christian identity cross-lighting ceremony, falsely described as a cross burning. Let me say that again, ladies and gentlemen. He said, I did attend a private, religious, Christian identity cross-lighting ceremony falsely described as a cross burning, end quote. McClanahan, who has described himself as pro-white, was among nearly 280 Republican candidates who on Tuesday officially filed to run for office. The Missouri GOP posted on X Thursday that McClanahan's affiliation with the KKK fundamentally contradicts our party's values and platform. We have begun the process of having Mr. McClanahan removed from the ballot as a Republican candidate, the party tweeted. Quote, we condemn any association with hate groups and are taking immediate action to rectify this situation. Now, so in an email to the AP, McClanahan said, so I've been open about my views. And he said the state leaders were well aware. In 2022, he made an unsuccessful run for the US Senate, losing the GOP primary with 0.2% of the vote. McClanahan wrote, the GOP knew exactly who I am. What a bunch of anti-white hypocrites. I'm with you, damn it. Sir, listen, man, put his picture up, damn it. He's telling the truth. He's telling you who he is. He's telling you who they are. He has said these are a bunch of anti-white hypocrites because they all knew he was in the Klan. I mean, at a cross lighting.
Yes.
Okay. Missouri GOP Executive Director Miles Ross said the party is refunding McClanahan's $200 filing fee. That'll do it. $200 filing fee, and will ask him to voluntarily withdraw from the ballot. But Ross said the party will seek a court intervention if needed. But because Republicans accepted the fee, any effort to force him off the ticket would require court intervention. Quote, if it would take a court order for us to remove him from the ballot, Secretary of State spokesperson Jodan Cheney said it. And the reason why is because once they accepted the money, it then becomes a contract. And so there's a pay for service here, there's an agreement, there's a contract. To get out of the contract, they would literally have to have a judge declare null and void. All right, so McClanahan sued the Anti-Defamation League last year, claiming the organization defamed him by calling him a white supremacist in an online post. In his lawsuit, McClanahan described himself as a pro-white man, okay, horseman, politician, political prisoner, activist who is dedicated to traditional Christian values. A federal judge.
That's just the definition of a person in the Klan. A horseman, Doc.
That's what he called himself.
A horseman.
Like he rides the horse at the Klan meeting. Okay, a federal judge dismissed McClanahan's defamation case against the Anti-Defamation League in December, which meant a judge agreed that he is actually a white supremacist by calling him a white supremacist in an online post. In his lawsuit, McClanahan described himself as a pro-white man once again. So the Anti-Defamation League in December wrote that his lawsuit, it reflects that the plaintiff holds the views ascribed to him by the ADL article. That is the characterization of his social media presence and views as anti-Semitic, white supremacist, anti-government, and bigoted. McClanahan has disputed the judge's order. So once again, like the judge has agreed he is in fact a white supremacist. It was already made public by way of the Anti-Defamation League. You could have Googled this guy before accepting the $200 and you would have known his racist views. Put him up full mask. So McClanahan is obviously a long shot candidate for governor and faces a primary against Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft on the left, Lieutenant Governor Mike Keogh in the center, and then Senator Bill Eigel on the right, and others to replace Governor Mike Parson, who was prohibited by term limits. All of a sudden, the GOP says, we had no idea that the cross burning wasn't just a ceremony. All right, what say you?
I mean, I think that it is incredibly hypocritical. I mean, what's incredible is that their front runner for president of the United States regularly dabbles with the Proud Boys, who are a white identitarian, i.e. white nationalist, i.e. white supremacist organization. To say nothing of the many other, I don't know, like all the other Proud Boys, the Proud Boys and Boyettes, right? Like but the modern day Republican Party, you can't say it out loud. You can't attend a cross burning. No, you say that behind closed doors. You have friends, maybe you've got a little honorary badge, but you don't actually go to the burning. You thank them for the invite, but you ultimately support the sentiment. I mean, truly, it's interesting to see what will get you barred from the ballot, because according to our Supreme Court, you can incite an insurrection against the country, including having a bunch of white nationalist groups with you, a bunch of Holocaust deniers wearing their shirts proudly in the Capitol building, and that's all good. You can still run for president, but you can't be this guy who's like, hey, I'm pro-white and I'm a Klansman. Like, again, I don't want this guy to run, but that's what this party is and has become. So he's not actually wrong.
Yeah, and the irony is him claiming that, oh, I wasn't really a member, I was made an honorary member. Sir, they don't give honorary memberships out to just any racist. You have to be a special kind of racist to get an honorary membership in the KKK. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come. We have an indisputable exclusive. All right, police harass a woman. The Sun is recording, has no reason to be in her home, doesn't care, and they decide to do this. Here it is.
So when y'all go over there and talk to him about his music, do y'all ask him for his ID?
Yeah, and he provides it.
No, y'all do not. I be sitting right here watching. Nobody asking for his ID.
I'm not arguing with you.
I'm not arguing with you either. I'm not giving you no. I'm going to jail.
Yes.
If I don't provide my ID?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do it. I'm not giving you my ID.
All right, turn up, put your hands behind your back.
This is ridiculous.
Hey, turn up, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
I need to put my shoes on.
I didn't ask for it.
Wait a minute, don't you put your hands on me like that.
Hold on.
Don't push my son.
Whoa, hold on, wait.
Do not push my son.
Hold on.
Mom,
calm down, please, everybody. Please, calm down, please. Mom, everybody, calm down. I'm gonna give you one more chance.
Somebody just call the phone and call your daddy.
Mom, please.
Why do you need my ID?
I've already explained to you.
Why do you need my ID?
Mom, just give him your ID, Mom, please.
Why do you need my ID?
Mom, please call. Mom, no, it's okay. Mom, it's okay. It's okay. Mom, it's okay. Mom, it's okay. It's okay, Mom, it's okay. It's okay, Mom, it's okay. It's okay, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm recording. Okay. I'm recording.
Why you want to rough up a female, dude?
Because you're not complying.
You need Jesus.
It's okay, Mom. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
This ain't nothing but the devil.
It's okay. It's okay.
This ain't nothing but the devil.
I have more video. This is in clear violation of Alabama law. Yes, this was in Alabama. Put up the picture full mass. I'm going to explain part of this and then take you to the next video. Per a press release from the law offices of Attorney Harry Daniels, the town of Andalusia, Alabama, and its police department are under fire after attorneys for the 40-year-old Twyla Stallworth, that's who you saw in the video, released a video of Officer Grant Burton shoving Miss Stallworth into her own couch, forcefully arresting her in her own home, keeping her locked up for 15 hours after she legally refused to provide ID in her own home. There's more. During the incident, Stallworth's son asked the officer about the statute. He is saying, sir, what law did she break? Here it is.
Hey, dude, I wasn't attacking you, by the way. You know that, right?
You put your hands on my son. You put your hands on my son.
It's okay, man. I understand that. But I wasn't attacking you. You're good, bro.
My son ain't do nothing.
I mean, that's a natural reaction. You know what I mean? Hey, dude, before you take her away, why are you taking her away?
She's right now. She's under arrest for failure to identify.
So is this actually in Alabama? Is this actually in Alabama state law?
That is not the law. That's against the law.
Because I wanna actually see this law in play in action.
Statute?
Yeah. Pull it up.
Statute, bro. 15530.
15530.
Yes, sir.
Law enforcement official can request your name, explanation of his actions. I don't see where it says anything about an ID. It says your name, address, and explanation of his actions.
She repelled to identify, but ID.
I mean, it doesn't specifically, say an ID.
I know, but I'm not going to argue with you either. All right. Thank you.
That makes 0 sense, dude.
Young man, I hope you become an attorney. You are correct. On your reading of the statute, the officer is incorrect in the reading and the implementation or execution, and I think intentionally so. If you remember, Attorney Harry Daniels also represented the pastor that we have on the program who was arrested by Alabama police for watering his neighbor's flowers by request of his own neighbors, all right? The office also notes from the Harry Daniels law firm, the case bears striking similarity to the case of Pastor Michael Jennings, who made national headlines in 2022. We interviewed Mr. Jennings right here and featured on Indisputable. He was arrested in Childersburg, Alabama for watering his neighbor's flowers. Once again, Stallworth is represented by nationally renowned civil rights attorney and a dear friend of mine, Harry Daniels. Daniels also represents Reverend Jennings. He's one of the best civil rights litigators in this country. According to the attorneys, the incident began February 23rd, 2024, when Ms. Stallworth called the police multiple times to do one thing: complain about the neighbor who was playing loud music in the neighborhood. Getting no response, Ms. Stallworth decided to set her car alarm in an effort to get the neighbor's attention, to convince them to turn down the music. Kind of nuisance on nuisance action happening. While the police failed to respond to Ms. Stallworth's complaint, they did respond to the neighbor who called to complain about her noise. Frustrated because Officer Burton threatened to cite and arrest her for the car alarm, but did not say anything to address her multiple complaints, Stallworth pointed out the disparity as Barton, the officer, was returning to her police cruiser, suggesting it was racially motivated. Stallworth is black, while the neighbor playing the loud music is white. At that point, Officer Barton returned to the front porch and began demanding that Ms. Stallworth present her identification, even though he had not made any such request prior. That's when Stallworth's 18-year-old son began recording the encounter with his phone. Smart man. The video shows Ms. Barton threatening, the video shows Officer Barton threatening to arrest Ms. Stallworth for failing to present identification, despite the fact that state law only requires a person to do so when they are in a public place. Your home does not qualify as the public. When Ms. Stallworth goes back into her house in order to put on some shoes, Officer Barton forcefully enters the home, shoving past Stallworth's son and grabbing her by the arm in order to handcuff her. Officer Barton continues to escalate the situation, despite the repeated pleas of the son for everyone to calm down, and even shoves Ms. Stallworth into the couch, despite the fact she was unarmed, had offered no aggression, and was not a threat to the officer or anyone. The officer eventually arrested Ms. Stallworth, charging her with obstruction, resisting arrest, and they also charged her with attempting to elude. Okay? Attorney Daniel said of the incident, quote, "Never mind that Officer Barton needlessly escalated the situation, forcefully entered Ms. Stallworth's home and physically assaulted her over a noise complaint. Never mind that he arrested her for exercising her constitutional rights. And never mind that he misquoted a law that doesn't require a woman in her own home to present an ID. He was leaving. He was walking back to his car, ready to drive away, right until she called out his racism. Calling out racism is not illegal. Using your badge to intimidate a 40-year-old mother is," end quote, Attorney Harry Daniels. Put up the police chief of this police department. His name is Paul Hudson on the left. Officer Barton, May 2021. That's his picture. Recent graduate at that time of the Alabama Advanced Criminal Justice Academy. It's a damn shame what you did, sir. And you have the weight of the justice system upon you now because Harry Daniels, well, his law firm and his team, they are heavy hitters. And to the family, we're going to continue to follow this story. We hate this happened to the mother. Sorry that the son had to witness it, but the son did one of the greatest things he could have done. He preserved the record.
Yes.
He preserved the record. All right. Okay. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I just to echo that. I mean, the fact that the son, and this is, I think, Black Americans in this country, when they are faced with violent law enforcement, they are always the ones that have to maintain calm, right? It's not the law enforcement, it's not police who are ever maintaining the calm. When are you ever seeing cops de-escalate a situation with Black Americans who are unarmed? No, they escalate it. And so it is on this 18-year-old kid calmly asking, as his mom is being manhandled and hurt and being arrested for no reason, who's like, hey, just by the way, I mean, it's all good. He was like, it's great, man, no, take my mom away. But like, by the way, is this legal? You might want to rethink this, And he didn't even say that. He was super respectful. He just wanted to know. And I think that's incredible show of courage and strength. But I mean, again, this is, lastly, the color line is always enforced by cops. So when a white neighbor versus a Black neighbor, they both have noise complaints, you can tell, and it is very revealing which side the cop is going to come down on. And that speaks to the origins of policing in this country in the first place.
Very sad, but also very true. Naturally, we will cover this until completion. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm at a Wolfpack gathering.
We're growing. I see faces that I recognize, but I also see a lot of faces that I don't recognize, and that's fantastic.
We are all taking time out of our lives to be here, and that's amazing. That means we truly believe in this.
Make no mistake, everyone in this room is a leader in Wolfpack.
Alaska, West Virginia, Montana, Georgia, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, everyone is here. All these folks paid with their own money and sometimes took vacation days to come here to strategize on how to get our democracy back and get money out of politics.
Or you get more political power just because you have more money. This is why it requires a constitutional amendment.
The process of winning in your state next year doesn't begin when session begins. It begins right now.
To work to a goal, something this big that you're actually making a difference of, there's very few things in the world that really compare to that feeling.
Equal rights to fair representation, rights for human beings, anti-corruption laws, and free and fair elections. That's what we are fighting for.
What were the founding fathers? Revolutionaries. And they built revolution into the document.
So Article 5 is the way we have to go.
This is how you do it.
You're in this as a team, you're in this together. The fight will always continue.
That fight is not between the left and the right. That fight is between basically greed and humanity.
So I'm asking you to put differences aside, whether you're conservative or independent or progressive, to join forces to say no more corruption.
You get beyond the fear, you take that first step, and you'll change the world.
What I want to leave you with, of course, is hope. And I want to assure you that if we keep fighting together, we're going to win together. We're going to get that convention, we're going to get that amendment, and we're going to get our democracy back. Come join us, wolf-pack.com.
Sharp increase in healthcare insurance premiums next year in response to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic.
The country is desperate for Medicare for all, but the mainstream media will tell you nonstop lies about how people don't want it.
Between 5.8 million and 23 million lost their healthcare just during this pandemic. And Joe Biden says, no, I don't think that's an argument for Medicare for all.
How are you going to find $35 trillion?
They constantly misstate things, but without explaining that the current system costs at least $50 trillion. Every other developed nation has a single payer system, and they all pay less. In fact, on average, they pay about half of what we pay.
It doesn't matter if taxes go up, if your healthcare costs go way, way down.
The for-profit health insurance companies are simply a scam, price gouging you, and they're in between you and your doctor.
Look, guys, the good news is we're gonna win. We're gonna get Medicare for all.
A famous new author has a book out. His name is Dogan Uger. That's my dad. Okay, the name of the book is called The Original Young Turk, and it's his life story. I read it, trust me, you're gonna love it. He has such a straightforward way of telling stories that you're gonna be amused by it. It's like, well, then I met JFK, then I was at the White House, then I started a business, then I became Businessman of the Year. It's amazing. You're gonna love the stories, and it's part of what made me progressive. Check it out at shoptyt.com.
You would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one. You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said no, other than day one.
By locking up his enemies, by breaking all the rules, the courts, yeah, right. Them and what army?
This country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
It's the truth. From the Young Turks, Americans saying they want a dictator.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years. I'm going dictator Trump for sure.
How crazy will his supporters go?
I'm going to be a dictator for one day.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Beautiful comments. Before I go to these comments, I want to remind everybody, Francesca is an amazing, amazing person to connect with in them comedic streets. Tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. Yeah, I'm going to be in Sacramento, California. So if you're in Sac or in the area, come through on Sunday, March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to be co-headlining with my husband, Matt Lieb, who's kind of been doing a lot of comedy surrounding what is currently very difficult to find comedy around, but Israel-Palestine right now. I don't know if you follow him, but if you don't follow him, we're going to be co-headlining March 17th, 7 p.m. Sacramento Punchline. Get tickets, francescafiorentini.com or punchlinesac.com.
Awesome. Beautiful stuff. All right. I'm sure that's going to be fun and hilarious. Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. Mo Ferry says, what the entire hell does the phrase pro-white mean? Right. Pro-white man looks more like an amateur white man to me. All right. And thank you for this. Stephanie Haynes, thank you. You engage in mutual combat with that guy, and I will happily hold your glasses and tie. Or you can always grab Charles Barkley. This guy meets the criteria Charles laid out. I support both. Layman_shaman. This is why I think Indisputable is such an important news source. They go over police misconduct every day and expose it daily. The young people watching this will be galvanized over time to become lawyers, police, etc., to change the systems for better from within. I sincerely believe that 10 to 20 years from now, TYT plus Indisputable will have had such a positive impact on the future generations. You give me hope, Dr. Richie, and you give me hope. All right, this is how we continue to win. And thank you for those words. All right, a few days ago, I was struck with very sad news. Councilman Eric Mays passed away, and you know, him and I spoke semi-often, and we worked on things together. And sometimes we didn't let everyone know that we were partnering on some things for strategic reasons. But when I tell you he was an amazing ally, he was always encouraging, significant institutional insight and knowledge, bright man who advocated and cared deeply for the community that he represented. Well, he passed away. He was also a friend of Ricky Smiley's. Ricky was hit hard by this as well. Now there's some infighting. So put up the picture full mass. I'm going to explain what I can. So Eric Mays' son is in a dispute with other family members over his father's body. Eric Hakeem Mays, the son of the late councilman, a third-term councilman at that, who served the city of Flint before his death last month, is now suing the late city leader's 4 siblings at a funeral home over the handling of the remains. Eric D. Mays filed the lawsuit on Monday alleging fraud, conspiracy, and unjust enrichment in connection with how the late councilman's body was handled. Eric Mays, the outspoken leader who led the majority Black district during the Flint water crisis, died February 24th, 65 years of age. It's believed to have died without a will, according to the complaint. The lawsuit seeks an order preventing Lawrence E. Moon Funeral Home, the company, from removing or moving forward with any funeral plans or arrangements planned by anyone other than Eric Hakeem Mays. It also seeks an order compelling the funeral home to release the body of Eric Mays to whichever funeral home his son chooses. The suit claims that on February 24th, when the county medical examiner investigator Amanda Rhodes visited Eric Mays' home to conduct a death investigation, she spoke with two of the siblings, Sherman Mays and Veronica Simmons, who are named in the complaint, by the way. So Rhodes posed the question if their brother was married or had any children older than 18. And they told her, according to the lawsuit, that he was neither married nor a father to any children over age 18. Under Michigan law, Eric Hakeem Mays has the right as Eric Mays' adult child and next of kin to make funeral-related decisions related to his father, the lawsuit states. The suit lists the son's birth certificate as one of the exhibited documents. A lawyer representing the two siblings sent a message on March 1st stating, quote, "I'm advised that your client is not the biological son of Mr. Mays and to their knowledge was never adopted, according to the suit. The legal action from Eric Hakeem Mays against his aunts and uncles accuses Sherman Mays and Veronica Simmons of perpetuating a fraud on the county medical examiner's office by claiming that Eric Mays did not have any children. The complaint also accuses a third sibling of the late councilman, Reggie Mays, of perpetuating a separate fraud on the medical examiner's office, quote, by falsely representing to its administrator that he had legal authority as the late councilman's brother to authorize the release of his body to the funeral home, according to Lentil Law Group. I don't know where this is going to end, but I will say this. The way the son is going about this is a way that I would go about it if I was in the same position. And I'm not sure if there's going to be a requirement for any additional documentation other than what has been provided in the suit. But you hate to see this happen after something so tragic. And people are still feeling the loss and feeling the loss of leadership for that district and what he meant to them as a family man. And I bring this to the attention of everyone. This was a story that has been rumbling. It finally made the news. But part of this confusion rests, as the complaint says, that they cannot find or there may not be an executable will that would have clarified some things based on the desire of the now deceased. God rest his soul, no matter what. Francesca, thoughts?
Yeah, I just hope that the family finds peace no matter what happens, because it is on those who survive that have to deal with this. And I mean, he was a busy guy, right? He was out there and representing the people of Flint. And so I don't know whether to believe there isn't a will. I'd like to think that someone like that might have, yes, had a will, but it goes to the siblings, the kids. I think in most states, siblings do not have control over the estate or the final wishes or anything like that. So I hope they can rectify it. And yes, remember the legacy of Eric Mays.
That's right. There you go. Well said. Oh, okay. Hell of a thing. This is an update. All right. Rust Amora, guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Put up the picture full mask. This has been this ongoing saga that has gripped Hollywood. I'm going to explain as much as I can. So a jury has convicted Hannah Gutierrez Reed on the left, a movie weapons supervisor, for involuntary manslaughter on Wednesday in the fatal shooting of the 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins, that's in the center, by actor Alec Baldwin on the right. This was during the rehearsal. We talked about it when it happened. It's tragic all the way around. This was on the set of the Western movie Rust, okay? So prosecutors said Gutierrez Reed unknowingly brought live ammunition onto the set of Rust at a ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe, arguing that rounds lingered for at least 12 days until the fatal shooting. In closing arguments, the prosecutor described constant, never-ending safety failures on the set of Rust and Gutierrez Reed's astonishing lack of diligence with gun safety. Prosecutors contend the armorer repeatedly skipped on standard gun safety protocols that might have detected the live rounds. And so you had a variation of protocols cited. Baldwin, the lead actor and co-producer, ironically, on Rust, was indicted also by a grand jury. And this took place in January on a charge of involuntary manslaughter as well. The shooting occurred on the set during preparations for a scene where Baldwin discharged a live round from a revolver, killing Hutchins, okay? He thought they were blanks. They were supposed to be blanks. The film director, Joel Souza, was also wounded in that. The proceedings were a preamble to the actor's scheduled trial in July on the single charge of involuntary manslaughter. Obviously, Baldwin has pleaded not guilty. The film's first assistant director, David Halls, had previously agreed to plead guilty to the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. As an assistant director, Halls served as a safety coordinator on set and handed the gun directly to Baldwin at the rehearsal. Gutierrez Reed also had faced a second charge of evidence tampering, stemming from accusations that she handled a small bag of possible narcotics. She handed this narcotics bag to another crew member after the shooting to avoid detection. She was found not guilty, on that charge. Immediately after the verdict was read in court, the judge ordered the defendant to be placed in the custody of deputies. Hell of a story, sad all the way around. A human being is dead. They were there to provide entertainment for the masses. It has now turned tragic. The individual who actually pulled the trigger was completely unaware that it was a live round inside of that gun. But what we know now, it wasn't just one safety failure. It wasn't just two. It was a plethora. What say you?
I mean, I think there's a lot more to this story. I'm glad that at least someone has been charged with this. I mean, involuntary manslaughter and whatnot. The buck, I guess, stops with the armorer, the person who is supposed to be in control of any weapons that are used on the set. That's true, but it's also true, and it seems like there were arguments that, like, look, this was a production with an A-list celebrity, Alec Baldwin, and if they didn't have the proper safety in place or they didn't have people checking in on the armorer, that's because the corners cut in the entire production. Like it, and again, people on movie sets, I actually have a good friend, a friend I used to work with actually, who was in like 110-degree heat and suffered a heat stroke and has been permanently partially disabled because of that on a movie set. So to speak of the lack of labor protections, and I think we've seen, we have the IATSE, the film workers and tech workers now potentially going on strike. There's a lot of ways the buck gets passed around a film set, but the ultimate, the takeaway is there's a ton of money on these things. Why aren't there more people making sure that at the very least, nobody's getting shot with a live round?
That's right, well said. We will bring updates as they come. Okay, hell of a thing. Mike Tyson, back in the ring. Well, Jake Paul to fight Mike Tyson. I'll be damned. Put it at full mass. Well, Jake Paul is set to fight former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson in a boxing match that will be live streamed on Netflix. You know who will be watching? Me, myself, and I. I promise you, I will be watching this. The bout is scheduled to take place on July 20th at the AT&T Stadium in Texas. Will be available to all Netflix subscribers. Tyson, at 57, is 30 years older than Jake Paul. The younger Paul has opened as a huge favorite to defeat Tyson, with opening ads at -360 for the problem child. That means a $100 bet on Paul would net a pay of $127.78. Implied odds give Paul a 78% chance of scoring a win over the heavyweight boxing legend. Tyson, a former world champion and one of the most feared knockout artists in combat sports history, is currently at a +300 underdog. A $100 wager on Tyson wins a better $400. So based on my calculation, I'm gonna get about 10 grand with implied odds. With implied odds giving Iron Mike just a 25% chance of seeing his hand raised. This will not be the first time Paul and Tyson have appeared on a boxing card together. Paul fought in the co-main event at the pay-per-view that saw Tyson fight in an exhibition match against Roy Jones Jr. in 2020, which was Tyson's first boxing match since 2006. Paul defeated former NBA player Nate Robinson via knockout in the second round of what was Paul's second professional boxing match. It's crazy to think that in my second pro fight, I went viral for knocking out Nate Robinson on Mike Tyson's undercard, Paul said. Now, less than 4 years later, I'm stepping up to face Tyson himself to see if I have what it takes to beat one of boxing's most notorious fighters and biggest icons. Sir, that was 30 years ago, sir. You're fighting an older, slower Mike Tyson. However, that only helps people like me because I get to bet $100 and get a cool $400. All right. He continues to say, within just 2.5 years of founding MVP, we're about to produce the biggest fight in history, a fight in the biggest NFL stadium in the U.S., broadcast live on the biggest streaming platform in the world. A testament to all we've accomplished in such a short amount of time. Whether you're tuning in on Netflix or showing out in person, whether you're Team Paul or Team Tyson, or whether you're a lifelong boxing fan or watching for the first time, watching your first fight, you're not going to want to miss this event. And now this is the hype culture, right? This is kind of the Don King thing where you just want people to have eyes, right? You want people to have eyes. You want people to come to the stadium. But here's the thing, Francesca. I don't want any money that bad. I'm not stepping into a ring with Iron Mike today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. Here's why. I'm gonna tell you why. The man still has a punch.
Yeah.
Okay. He messes around and lands one. He only has to land one. That was the thing about him. He only has to land one. It's over. All right. What say you?
And and we know what his fallback is if he can't, which is, biting. So I would be,
I forgot about that move. You're right.
Exactly. He also has a backup plan. Yeah. We've done stories about how like someone was just messing with Tyson on an airplane and he just got up and slapped the dude. I don't even think it was a punch. He just slapped him.
So either. Yeah.
And that guy was like, oh, and he was instantly, I guess, made famous. But look, here's what I'll say about Jake Paul. Look, he's a thirsty influencer, and I'm not mad at it. Like I think there are worse things we've seen that influencers can do. You could continue to spout like anti-vax lies. You could be a crazed right-winger. You could run for office of all things. Maybe Jake Paul will eventually. But getting into boxing is probably a good move for him. That being said, claiming that, hey, I beat a former NBA player at boxing in his second match, like, dude, I don't know if you're ready for Tyson. I'm not sure if you're quite ready for a 60-year-old Tyson. I don't know how old he is at this point, but I would be excited to see. And look, Netflix is reaping the benefits. They're really trying to like double down on these live events. So I don't know, Doc. I guess we're selling it here. And
yeah, listen, this is one thing. I am going to watch it. This is true. All right, I'm excited about it, and I think it's interesting just how Mike Tyson will surface to do things like this sometimes. I saw the Roy Jones Jr. fight. I thought it was, I don't think they really went in like they kind of proclaimed. But this, I believe, will be different. I think this fight is going to actually be a brawl. And once again, I think Mike Tyson will be the victor at the end of the day. Okay. Francesca, I would like you to tell folk once again, where they can find you this month.
He's 57, by the way. I'm sorry, Mike. Come see me in Sacramento at the Sacramento Punchline Sunday, March 17th at 7 p.m. co-headlining with Matt Lieb, my husband, and listen to or watch the Bituation Room podcast. Also at Franny Fio on YouTube. Don't have the 1 million subscribers that Indisputable has. Congrats, Doc. I have not been on since we reached that milestone. But go subscribe. Give me some love too.
It's our subscribers all the way around. You make the show what it do. You make it do what it do. I thank you. All right. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.